Tonight on the show, we're talking a Chad Gable heel turn, new women's champion. Do we have a possible another heel turn coming for DIY? Find out soon while I nervously look for our intro. Also, I'm no longer allowed at a bar because I'm horrible at darts. And I totally just screwed that part of the joke up. Shit. Here's DDP to introduce us.
Yo, monkeys, it's me. It's DDP. That's right, Diamond Dallas Page, the king of bada bing, the master of the diamond cutter, the three-time world champion, WWE Hall of Famer, and founder and CEO of DDP Yoga. And baby, it is time. It is time for the Towers of Powers, the men of the hour. I'm talking about my main men, the men with the plan. I'm talking about Whiskey Pro and the Brews, baby. And we're bringing you the best in beerskis and whiskeys from the greatest city in the world, Dallas, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, can you dig that, baby? These guys are going to make you boys feel the bang. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
I had to thumb around there to try to get a picture of DDP doing the bang in the background. Completely screwed up my joke that I've been saving for like 2 weeks. I'm so mad at myself right now.
You know what I love about that intro, though?
What's
He's
that?
like, yeah, you know, from Dallas, Texas, home of, you know, Dallas. Neither one of us are Cowboys fans, bro.
Nope. You know me. I pull for the Cowboys 3 times a year, and that's only because I'm from Dallas.
I'm hit or miss. It don't really matter to me with them, but
unless they play the Jets on Thanksgiving, which never happens, I pull for them on Thanksgiving because it's Thanksgiving. I'm from Dallas. Why not? And then when they play the godforsaken Eagles.
did you see that they traded Wilson?
Yes. About 2 years too late, if you ask me.
To the Broncos. Who do they have starting for Broncos? Nobody, right? Since they got rid of Wilson?
I guess
Russell
no.
Wilson?
Yeah. So
that's going to be interesting.
It will be. It really will be. Welcome in, everybody. We took yet another week off. It's one of those things. Just life happens. You know, we entered the year thinking that this was going to be a real just. Wow, I can't talk tonight.
How many have you had?
2. Pedal to the metal type. You know, just I was going to go full on gore this year with the podcast, but life gets in the way. Shit happens. What can you do? But we're here now. Took a week off. We're back. And man,
I got something for you.
Okay.
I got something. Hang on. Hang on.
I was waiting for him to flip me off. I really thought he was going to flip me off. I really did.
All right. So I went to Walmart.
Uh-huh.
It was on sale. $3.
Oh, nice.
Fuck yeah.
Vader.
I'm debating on whether or not to take him out of the box.
No.
Well, because my John Cena is out of the box.
Oh, well. It's John Cena. Speaking of John Cena, happy birthday to the legend himself.
Happy birthday.
47, I believe.
Oh, shit. Really?
So, I want to talk about him for just a second since we're on the subject. It is his birthday. 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Your favorite rivalry that he had in WWE. Doesn't have to be necessarily your favorite match. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Just somebody that he rivaled with back and forth that you really, really liked.
His feud with the Rock for like 2 years straight.
Okay.
Just for no other reason than, you know, he was getting this massive push, and Like he even admitted that it was wrong for him to call out The Rock, and he regretted it because now he's in that same predicament where he's working, part-time kind of thing.
Right.
But that was one of the earliest moments that I can remember of those lines being blurred, where it's like, oh shit, is this scripted, or are they like really talking from the fucking heart? Because you could tell, like that one promo, it gets talked about constantly, where John Cena's like, when you come out, don't have it fucking written on your wrist. And
Right.
that look that Rock gives him, he wanted to fucking deck him right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Well,
that was one of the few times where it's like you could really see between the lines.
you blurred the lines a little bit there.
Yeah.
You really did. And no, you know what? It's funny because wrestling fans are stupid. We know this. I'm a diehard wrestling fan, and I'll admit, even some of the shit that I say
We're
and
gullible.
do, we're gullible. And but here's the problem: is when you blur those lines, what between is reality and scripted, right? Now we think every other punch is, oh, that was real. Oh, this was, he really went after him there. We don't know. We get caught up in it because we want to believe it, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it gets a lot of a bad rep between those two. And Cena has since come out and said, I was wrong for saying this. I was wrong for doing that. Excuse me. So I totally get it. I really do. I think it was a great one. Both great matches, both a great story. It was one of those stories that lasted 2 years, right? Or well, I guess about about 2
They
years.
headlined 2 WrestleManias.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, for me, just because I have come to appreciate him a lot more, and I want to talk about him in a minute when we get done with John Cena, was him and Edge. Man, and if you go back and you listen to some of the promos that Edge cut on John Cena, it was like he loathed him. He despised John Cena. And Ed just kind of talked about that briefly on a few different interviews, a few different podcasts. And he was like, I really didn't. There was a part of me that didn't like John Cena because he was so loved. He was so loved by the fans, by the higher ups, by Vince McMahon. He was the golden boy. He could do no wrong. He was the golden goose. And that really kind of rubbed Edge the wrong way. And it wasn't necessarily he hated John Cena for that. He just hated that he couldn't have that.
Yeah.
And he hated the fact that John Cena was the guy. It wasn't, I hate you. It was just, I hate that you're the guy. I want to be the guy. It basically what it boiled down to is jealousy, right? But the fact that he could actually sit there and talk about it openly, and they had those fights, man. I tell you what, I don't think when you talk about in-ring performers, I don't think you can talk enough about Shawn Michaels and Edge. I think they are neck and neck right there with as far as putting on a show. They could both wrestle a broom and make it look good.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But
well, I mean, it also comes down to how long that they were in the business to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You get somebody who's still relatively green, a year or two in the business. When they have heat with someone, more times than not, they're really going to be trying to slug each other. But then you compare that to, the other veterans, say the feud between Seth Rollins and Jake Paul or Logan Paul, or
right.
Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 men clearly came out and be like, I don't fucking like you.
Right.
But they knew there was money to be made, and they made entertainment out of it. They made moments out of all of that.
Look at Seth Rollins and CM Punk. I mean, they have made it very clear that they don't like one another.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, at some point, whether it was when CM Punk got there, after CM Punk got there, whatever, Triple H, the higher ups, I don't care who it was. I don't care, whatever name you want to throw out there. And I don't know this for a fact. This is my assumption, okay? Somebody along the line said, Seth, Punk, We know you don't like each other. We're going to use that to make money to put people in the seats. Can you two coexist long enough to make the company money? And I really honestly think that was a conversation that was probably had. Am I wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I might be, but I firmly believe that was a conversation at some point that was probably had, because if you go back and you watch that, and Triple H said this, it was in a documentary that I watched recently, or an interview. Nobody knew CM Punk was coming back, including Triple H, until a few hours before War Games. So, like, he went ahead and got the copyright, the rights to the Cult of Personality song, just in case. And then, like 4 or 5 hours before the pay-per-view, he got the call, hey, CM Punk's on his way. So the reaction, where I'm going with this, is the reaction that you see is Seth Rollins. There's a video of it somewhere floating around. Seth Rollins flipping off CM Punk.
Oh, yeah.
People holding him back. That was a legit reaction because he felt like he had been disrespected by CM Punk.
And that confuses me a little bit too, because you had War Games in, what was it, November?
Right.
September or November, one of those two. I forgot which. They plant the seeds for a Rollins Punk rivalry, but it never went anywhere, because as soon as Royal Rumble happened, it was like they immediately started the rivalry between Punk and Drew McIntyre, and now they're all jawing at each other. And when CM Punk was commentating at WrestleMania, he didn't say two things about Seth Rollins. It was always kind of poking at Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see how long. Now, obviously, Seth Rollins is going to be out for several months. They're pegging like a SummerSlam return. But I'd be very, very curious to see how long they're going to wait before they try and put a Rollins Punk rivalry back up. And if it's going to have the same momentum that it had once War Games went off the air.
I think it will, only because of the two personalities. Now, I have a serious question for you, and we know where I get a lot of my material from, so I'm totally stealing this. If you take away Seth Rollins's singing, what's up, Dylan Busby? How you doing, man? In the house. He's going to be on a little show called Strikeout Beer tomorrow night. Dylan Busby, the host of Mostly Football, my former co-host in Just Be a Dad podcast. Yeah, that's right. I said it. It's huge. It's going to be huge in China. Okay, I'm done. Anyways, if you take away the entrance that Seth Rollins has, let's strip him down in a non-sexual way. Get your mind out of the gutter, folks. Go on this journey with whiskey here, Uncle Whiskey, if you will. Let's strip Rollins down to just being a plain Jane wrestler. Okay, put him in black trunks, put him in the Shield vest and pants. Okay. Take away the big entrance with the crowd singing. Do you think Seth Rollins is still as big as he is?
Yes.
Okay, why?
To watch him evolve as he has since the Shield. He doesn't need the grand entrances. Look how big he was just when he had the whole Burn It Down theme song. He didn't have the huge extravagant costume designs that he's coming out with now. He doesn't have everyone, he didn't have everyone chanting his theme song as he does now, and he was still over just as much, if not more, as he is now. He is one of those rare talents that you could do something with him, have it stretch for like a year or two, get him off put him on the shelf for a little bit, rehab him, come back with a brand new invention, and he'll pick up right where he left off. He doesn't need the theme songs. He doesn't need the grand entrances. He doesn't need the costume designs. people are already over with him.
Actually, Dylan, to answer your question, he did have a pink out gear that he wore with the hat and the John Cena shirt for breast cancer awareness, but he actually started off in yellow. He did have like a very neon orange. It was almost a pink. It was blue and neon orange when he fought like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar.
I thought he was always in the jorts.
No, I'm talking about like when he first debuted, when he came out with Kurt Angle, ruthless aggression, that whole thing. He was in trunks.
I gotcha.
But no, I was curious. I mean, like I said, there's not a wrong or right answer. I like Seth Rollins. Great on the mic. I think he could hold his own against a lot of people. He's shown that. Great reactions, great facial, reactions to everything. He's really learned how to hold the people in the palm of his hand. So I think just the entrance kind of adds to that.
For me, Seth is, generation, for lack of a better word. I would say Seth Rollins is this generation's Shawn Michaels. He's got the mic skills. He's got the entrance. He's got the in-ring capabilities. It doesn't matter if he's a babyface or a heel. People are all fucking over him. He is. Who else would you say then?
I don't necessarily disagree. I'm very protective of Shawn Michaels when people say that, just because it's Shawn Michaels. Just like when people, we say you can argue greatest of all time. For me, when somebody says greatest of all time, the first person that pops into my head is Ric Flair. That's the first person that pops into my head. Mic skills, wrestling skills, heel, babyface, it didn't matter. Everybody loved him. When you talk
exactly,
when you talk about in-ring performers, I mean, Shawn Michaels to me is. Undertaker said it. Even when he didn't like Shawn Michaels, Undertaker said it. Triple H has said it. Stone Cold has said it. Bret Hart has said it. There's not a whole lot of people that can out-wrestle, outperform Shawn Michaels. Again, I'm not talking about entrances. I'm not talking about mic skills. I'm talking about simply stepping in the ring and having a good match. Shawn Michaels is the guy.
The one difference that I would say, how I'm comparing Seth Rollins to this generation Shawn Michaels is similar to, I would have to find the article, but there were some people that were comparing him to Shawn Michaels when he came out to people like Tito Santana and the Von Erichs and freaking Jimmy Snuka. Now, I don't disagree with the whole Ric Flair being the greatest, but there's one thing that Ric Flair has against him that Shawn Michaels does, and that's the whole
airplane ride.
The what?
Airplane ride?
What are you talking about?
Never mind. Nothing. It's a joke.
Never mind. But it's like, Ric Flair was not the most graceful in the ring. I love the dude, but he really wasn't. He was from the era of going up to you and trying to beat your ass silly.
He was in the I'm going to kick your ass era.
Exactly.
And Shawn Michaels was very, very graceful, very athletic.
Exactly. So that is two different types of greatness.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Because Ric Flair was able to accomplish that just with how quote unquote limited the wrestlers were back in those days. They weren't high flyers. They weren't small guys. You know what I mean?
Right. And when we sit here and we talk about it, and again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying Seth Rollins isn't this generation Shawn Michaels. I'm not saying that. I'm someone who's very conservative when it comes to people comparing Shawn Michaels to anybody, just because I'm from that era. I'm from that generation. Not saying you're wrong. I almost be inclined to agree with you because you bring up a lot of valid, good points. But I think with the fact that Seth Rollins is still going, we can't really make that comparison yet. Just like the argument with, I'm not going to get into this because I don't know basketball, but Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. So I think Kobe,
yeah,
not Kobe, Michael Jordan and
yeah,
LeBron. Yeah. But
I mean, you kind of can, because people are already giving that label to Shawn Michaels on, the tail end of his career, and he didn't retire until like a good fucking 5-10 years after all those accolades. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think Seth Rollins, for the time that he was in the Shield, the time that he's been individual, I think you can make a strong case to be up there. Obviously not the greatest, because at the end of the day, all of that is complete. It's all a gray area.
Right.
It's it's all trivial, but I think you can make a good claim of him being up there.
No, you're
I put him in a Rushmore of top 10.
Who?
Rollins.
Ooh.
Come at me, bro. I said it.
Man, that's bold, man. That's bold. I'm not gonna argue with you about Mount Rushmore because everybody has a different opinion.
I will say this. When it comes, just like I said earlier, the whole greatest of all time in your Mount Rushmores, it's all trivial, and it's dependent on how much you're already aware of the sport, the business, and people who came before the people that you're discussing. I don't know too much about the Von Erichs. I've seen them wrestle, but I don't know too much about them. Same thing as Ric Flair. AJ Styles, I wasn't too familiar until he came to WWE, but dude had a massive following in Japan, and he was the man.
AJ Styles is the reason I started watching New Japan.
And that's my case. It's like everyone who's familiar with AJ Styles and his history will probably make that claim that, okay, because of everything that he's accomplished outside of the WWE, he didn't need the WWE. Everything he's accomplished outside of it, plus what he's accomplished inside, make an argument. I wouldn't put him in my Rushmore just because I'm not that familiar with him.
Right.
So,
like I said, that's the greatness of the show and the greatness of wrestling is we could sit here and debate and go back and forth all day and all night. I mean, if you think Seth Rollins is this generation Shawn Michaels, I'm not going to disagree with you. You bring up a lot of valid points. You make a lot of good valid points, and it's hard to debate that. The only other person, you just said his name, the only other person I would put that up against is AJ Styles because of his longevity, because of what he's done for the sport and the business as a whole. And I think now look, does he have a great match every single night? No, he doesn't. But the majority of his matches are pretty solid.
Yeah.
So you could make it in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. You could make a case for AJ Styles. You could make a case for Seth Rollins. You could make a case for maybe two other guys. Some people will say The Miz. I don't see that, but I mean, The Miz is going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
And you can't deny what the guy's done. Some people will say Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan if you want to talk about WWE. Who do you think trained him? Shawn Michaels. So
wait, did he?
To my understanding, he did. I could be wrong on that too, but
okay.
To my understanding,
I thought he was
I don't know.
Kid.
I don't know if he was hand trained by Michaels, but I know Michaels had a hand in it at some point.
Oh, okay, because I could have sworn he was a Dusty Kid.
I know Shawn Michaels really liked him.
Trained by Michaels, Texas Wrestling Academy. Okay.
But I want to move on here because I'm watching Monday Night Raw again just to kind of keep my mind fresh. There's one thing I want to get into tonight that I didn't put in the description. I believe I said before the Rumble there was going to be something to happen with Imperium. It was either right before or right after the Royal Rumble. And
I want to say it was before, yeah.
Last night, I don't know the guys' names. I just call them
Vinci and Kaiser.
So, the match ends. They lose to whoever they fought. I don't even remember.
New Day.
New Day. That's right. And you could see it coming.
Yeah. It took it long enough, man. It took it long enough.
It did. And I'm not here beating my chest saying I told you so. It's funny how you pick up on on key things. Do they? Don't they? Do they? Don't they? I don't know. But it's just funny how you pick up on these things, right? And you kind of see them coming, and then they lose the match, and you can see Kaiser kind of helping the guy up, and you're just like, all right, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And boom, finally it happens.
Oh.
And so the rumors are already flying on social media that they're going to bring in this kid from NXT, Dragono or Dragoon or something like that. He was the NXT champion for a little bit. He was on
Dragon
Raw.
Lee?
No, not Dragon Lee. He's the kid from Austria. He was the NXT champion for a little bit. He was on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania.
Oh, okay.
You know who I'm talking about? Blonde hair.
Talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so there's rumors that he's fixing to join Imperium. So,
I hope not.
Got to get my beauty sleep. Enjoy the night, boys. I hope you get plenty of. You're gonna need that beauty sleep because you got a lot to fix right here. I'm messing with you. Go get some sleep, man. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for joining us. I'll try to tune in tomorrow night to see you with the Strikeout Beer boys and girls and reindeer. Anyways, but I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to go with that because Imperium's needed to implode for a while, so it's finally happening. And now I'm sitting here watching Sheamus and Drew McIntyre go at it. Dude, Sheamus is getting so much heat for coming out of shape. And I guarantee you, he could kick anybody's ass that makes fun of him. I'm not gonna make fun of him. I'm not. Nope. Mm-mm.
But I just don't like the angle that they're going with Sheamus and Drew.
Okay.
Maybe it's a placeholder. Maybe
they're doing this until CM Punk can come back.
Yeah, or maybe it was just like a one-off kind of interaction. It's similar to fuck. I lost the train of thought. Just to kind of get up to the draft. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean, they were saying that Sheamus was almost on his way out. Anyway, I was really, really stoked to see him come back because I don't know how long it's been. His last match was with Edge, wasn't it?
Yep, that was the
like
last
October.
Match.
So he's been out for a hot minute.
He was also nursing a shoulder injury. There's been a lot of those, man. A lot of shoulder injuries.
Well, yeah, dude, you're fucking dropping on plywood.
Yeah.
That thing has no give.
It's got a little give. I trained for 2 months. Let's
It has a little give.
It has a little give. If you got the belly fat for it, okay? But no, man, I hear what you're saying, and I just it's funny to me that people are they're quick to jump in and have a bunch of naysaying crap. You know, he came back a little. He knew he came back too soon, and you know what? He's going to be in the gym working his ass off, and he's going to be back in shape in 3 months. He's not going to
The
beat
best
Tenzin.
way to get back into shape is to rip that Band-Aid off and get back in the ring, regardless of the shape that you think you're in. Training will only get you so far. You just need to get in the ring and get in that motion again.
And not eat burger after burger after
Hey,
burger.
you leave those burgers alone, motherfucker.
But so I got to talk real quick. I got to say this, and I'm sorry. I know how we all know how my mind works at this point. If you don't, welcome to the shit show. I'm watching Shinsuke and Sheamus fight. What the hell are they doing with Shinsuke Nakamura?
I don't think they even know.
I
First, it was him and Seth, and then him and Cody. Both, in my opinion, are still unresolved feuds. I don't think they know what to do with them. And I don't blame them for that. I blame Shinsuke because he's not really over with the crowd.
he's got a cool entrance.
He's I hate to say this about a performer, an athlete, but he is forgettable.
His in-ring style is unique and it's different, which I like. And I enjoy his matches.
I enjoy some of them, yeah.
His entrance is cool. It's like a Seth Rollins or a Sami Zayn. His entrance is cool. But like, dude, pick a battle here.
I think if Triple H was to now, obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know how much creative control Triple H is allowing the athletes and the performers to have with their own development. We don't know.
Stop.
What?
Athletes, performers, let's call them what they are. Paul Heyman
What?
Plowed through it and said it. They are professional wrestlers. Let's call them what they are.
Professional wrestler is still an athlete, fool.
I know that. Let's just call them professional wrestlers.
Okay, fine. Professional wrestlers. Whatever. Case in point, though, we don't know how much creative control they have in the back with their development.
Right.
I think and this is just my opinion, I don't think Shinsuke really has that much grasp on his development. At least he didn't when Vince was around. I'm thinking if Triple H was to give him a little bit more leeway and be like, all right, this is not working. Exactly what they did with Bray Wyatt. This is not working. Come to us with something.
Right.
I think maybe then we'll see a lot of what Shinsuke was able to do outside of WWE and like New Japan and bring that to the forefront. I think that right there will revitalize his career. He's getting stale.
Yeah.
And nothing against him, nothing against his opposition, nothing against what WWE is doing with him right now. But it doesn't seem to be resonating with the fans. He needs a jump start. He needs something. I'm not saying kick him to the curb. He's 90 good. I'm not saying that. But he needs something. He needs help to get out of that low to mid card and back in the main event like he used to be.
Right. So we talked about Shinsuke. There's one thing I'm dying to get to tonight, so I'm going to leave the decision up to you. We can either talk about the women's title, which I thought was an actually interesting battle royale.
Yeah.
There's a little nugget there I want to talk about with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Or we can get to the real meat and the potatoes and talk about what everybody, and by everybody, I mean not one fucking podcast has mentioned this except for us. Chad Gable turning heel and turning on the Alpha Academy.
Let's do the little nugget first, since that doesn't seem like it'll take too long. Then we'll transition to the women's title and then go to your boy Chad.
A little nugget.
Liv Morgan, Dom.
Okay. So there
You
was
just said it.
dude. No, I can't keep up with my own head right now. There was a moment yesterday that you see. To give you a backstory, Liv Morgan took Rhea Ripley out of commission for I think 3 to 6 months is what they're saying. Supposedly. But what's funny is she's not posting anything about surgery. It's just, ow, my shoulder hurts. But regardless, nonetheless, the Judgment Day is falling apart. It really is. Damian Priest is kind of he didn't kind of say it. He did say it. He was like, I don't need y'all. Y'all need me. That's what he said last night on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly, but that was the gist of it. And by y'all, he's talking about
JD Dirty
Dom. JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio. That's who he's talking about. Mysterio is out because of his shoulder.
Is that legit or is that?
I think that's just written in. He's not.
Okay.
He's not. He wasn't cleared to play. He wasn't cleared. They might have been doing that as a safety thing. Maybe he just kind of got a stinger, and that's going to happen, right? I mean, you travel the road 300 days out of the year. You're in the gym. You're training.
You are never wrestling 100%.
So he might have had a legit stinger, and they were just playing it safe. But there was a moment where Liv Morgan, she's calling this her revenge tour. She took out Rhea Ripley. And then right before the Battle Royale, the women's Battle Royale for the women's championship, Liv Morgan ran in to Dominic Mysterio. No words were said. And this was like a 30-second, maybe 60-second thing, right? They ran into each other in the hallway. And they just stared at one another. Nothing was said. But I'm telling you now, WWE is... They're dropping little they're dropping little breadcrumbs to see if the fans pick up. The fans picked up on that one. I think what's going to happen, and I'm not the first podcaster to say this, but I think what's going to happen is I think you're either going to see one of the two things happen. Liv Morgan is going to take Dominic Mysterio, seduce him, and that's going to be his new mommy, and or she's also going to be the new leader of the Judgment Day. So when Rita comes back, she's going to be fighting for everything. Her title, Dom, and the Judgment Day.
I got one better for you. I got a third scenario.
Hang on. But the other part of that is, I totally stole this from Bully Ray. I'm not even going to lie. He said something today that really stuck with me, and I got to say this. I would have liked to see one thing different with that. Hi, Dom. Just something to really kind of reel the fans in. Really let them know, hey, something's about to happen. Because every man's, or not every, but just about every man, just about every woman at some point in their life has seduced or manipulated a man or a woman to get what they want. And I think that's what you're starting to see is she's starting to slowly seduce Dom, and I think that's kind of where they're going with this. So, all right, what are you gonna say?
I have a third scenario, one that is a little bit more plausible.
Okay.
If Judgment Day is kind of imploding, then they're not going to have someone like Liv Morgan come in and be the new mommy and take over Judgment Day. I saw that interaction. Wait, don't get ahead of me. I saw that interaction.
I know what you're going to say because I was thinking it.
Uncle Howdy, she is recruiting.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to go somewhere different. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I thought you were going somewhere different with it.
I genuinely think it'll culminate with Uncle Howdy returning, not in a competition standpoint, but to kind of mentor and shadow Liv Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Alexa Bliss is the one that was with Bray Wyatt, right?
Yes.
During the Firefly Funhouse.
Yes.
Since Alexis is still kind of MIA with, her family and everything else, I would not put it past them to maybe integrate Liv Morgan into that role as a new head of the Firefly Funhouse, so to speak. Not trying to be disrespectful, but maybe like the new leader of that faction.
Right.
Recruit Dom. And if there comes a time when Alexa Bliss returns, she returns Firefly Funhouse. How dominant do you think that fucking tag team would be of Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan? Having Uncle Howdy in the corner, having Dirty Dom in the corner.
Oh, well, I have my own opinion about Dirty Dom, but I won't go there. No, I see what you're saying, and
I see a Funhouse shift.
That's very plausible, and I like where you're going with that. But where my head was going more towards, correct me if I'm wrong, but when he was a child, 9, 10, 11, wasn't Dirty Dom part of a battle custody for Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio Jr.?
Yes.
So how cool would it be when Rhea Ripley returns that there was another custody battle for Dirty Dom between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan?
I don't think that will play. It'll be funny, but I don't think they'll seriously take a look at that just because they tried to revive that during his feud with Rey Mysterio, and fans didn't really eat it up as much as they were kind of hoping.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? Because Dirty Dom kept trying to push it. He's trying to bring that antagonistic side to be like, hey, am I really yours? Am I really yours? Fans didn't really jump at it.
Right. Okay. So now that we can get to the women's division, I watched the Battle Royale last night off and on. I'm not going to say I watched the whole thing because I didn't. I watched most of it. I was happy with the outcome. It was kind of predictable, but where I think fans get lost, including myself, because I caught myself doing this, they're setting Becky up to carry the company again because mommy is out. We know that. But I think they're also setting up Liv Morgan to be around for a while. They're building a bigger picture. They're dropping again those breadcrumbs that we talk about, right? Am I happy with it overall? Yeah. I would like to see somebody else win that title, give somebody else a chance, but I know what they're doing, and I don't disagree with it. I mean, I'm not going to tell Paul Levesque he's wrong. Sorry, but not doing it. But I thought the ending between Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch there on the apron, I felt like it was a little cheesy, but for some reason it worked. And I don't know why.
Liv won the title against. Was it Becky?
Might have been. I think.
Might be setting up a little rematch kind of thing.
Maybe. But I said I thought it was a little corny, a little cheesy, but it's wrestling. I mean, come on. Kind of predictable, but it was still fun to watch. And the fans really loved it. The fans were into it.
It was exactly as predictable as Damian Priest cashing in at WrestleMania. You knew it was going to happen. And I like the fact that they did it with Becky because, in my opinion, I think that solidifies that her and Seth Rollins aren't going anywhere. Their contract is supposed to expire at some point this year, correct?
Yeah, but I don't see Seth going anywhere.
I don't see him going anywhere either. And I think them putting the title on Becky for however long it's going to be, especially since Rhea is out, that further indicates that they have no plans on letting either one of them go.
Right. And I know fans are losing their shit saying, oh, Seth Rollins is going to be all elite. No, he's not. He's not going to go join John Moxley or Dean Ambrose. And look, I was a Dean Ambrose fan. I was until I saw him on the Stone Cold podcast. I will never forgive him for that. And if I'm being a little bitter toward that, fine.
He was playing his role.
He was to a point, but you don't go on somebody's podcast and give them a list of demands. Don't ask me these questions. And then when you get asked that by the host because he didn't know, don't act like you're too fucking cool for school and don't want to answer the fucking questions. I found that
I think it was kind of, well, yeah, that part, yeah, but I think it was also kind of lost in translation because you really think that they would not have put him on that platform. They would not have let him get away with what he did if it wasn't already planned. Does that make sense?
It does.
There was no backlash to him whatsoever at the conclusion of that. Just be like, oh, well, you know, he was an ass to Stone Cold. Even Stone Cold, he thought he was going to have an interview with the real John Moxley, not Dean Ambrose. Moxley brought in Ambrose, not his true self. He brought in the person that Vince told him to bring into the interview.
Yeah, and I
rubbed a lot of people wrong, but I genuinely think he did exactly what he was told to do. It wasn't really conveyed in the best way to like Stone Cold or any of the producers, and we saw the outcome of it, you know?
Right. Stone Cold still is pissed at him. So,
oh, I imagine so. He came out and said, he's like, yeah, you know, he was pissed at, you know, at the moment and for a long time, but, you know, reflecting back, if there was really an issue, Vince would have taken it up with him like fucking immediately.
Right.
So he obviously got an okay from Vince. Well, it wasn't like he was the face of the company like Brock, right. You know, shit. Right. Brock hardly ever talks to people. Watch his interview.
I loved it.
Yeah, he knew this is a platform to separate Brock the wrestler and Brock the person.
Right. So, all right, we got to talk about it just because this segment just ended. But right. I want to move on from the women's division. This is another one of those, and I don't. Again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I've kind of seen the end of Alpha Academy coming for a while, and last night really solidified that. It's the beginning of the end.
But they backed him, didn't they? I saw clips of it, but yeah, he berated them, but they still had his back. They still supported him.
I wouldn't say they supported him. I took it as it's kind of like a football team getting their ass kicked and the coach is just laying into them. It's like, you know, that fatherly, I'm not mad, I'm just very disappointed kind of thing, right? And yeah. I watched, and I just watched it again. I watched the interaction very closely with Otis and Chad Gable. And if you watch close enough, you could almost see Otis try not to laugh at one point. Now, if you don't know anything about Otis, he is in real life, he's a very awkward human being. You don't believe me? Go follow him on Instagram. His Instagrams are awesome.
I'm gonna have to fucking do that.
It's literally like 80s horror, RoboCop, like anything 80s.
Let's go.
You know, so, but I really felt like they did. They're trying to let Otis be Otis a little bit, right? Now, last night was a bad example of that because it was basically just Chad Gable ripping everybody in the Alpha Academy, telling you suck, and you suck, and I'm better than all of you. But that's kind of the shtick, right? So, it's just, I don't like to see Chad Gable as a heel because I like Chad Gable, but I like what they're doing with him. It's different. It's new. They're giving him a voice. They're giving him personality. and I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this. I'm going to end up hating Chad Gable, and I don't want to, but I'm kind of almost pulling for Otis, because if they do this right, we could potentially see a Chad Gable versus Otis. Now, will that be for a title or anything like that? Probably not. But still, I want to see that match. I want to see teacher versus student as they, I really want to see that. And I think Otis could branch off. Now, Otis doesn't have, I mean, his mic skills aren't the best, but they're not the worst. I mean, he's basically he's the white R-Truth as far as I'm concerned. Right. So, I'm really interested to see that, and I hope that's what we get out of this. If nothing else, I hope we get an Otis versus Chad Gable match. I really do. Because you have Chad Gable, who's super athletic, who's super strong. He's a real true American wrestler. And then you have Otis, just this tank of a human who is super athletic for his size. Like, I'm not near as big as Otis, and I'm a big guy. I can't do the worm. Otis can do the worm, and he does it good. So I'm really pulling for Otis. I'm curious to see where they go with Chad Gable, and I'm really excited for it. But I wanted to talk about it, and the reason why I was so desperate to talk about it, other than the fact that I like Chad Gable, I like Otis. We know this. Welcome to the show. They're giving wrestlers a chance to kind of come into their own a little bit. And what irritated me with all these other podcasts out there, and look, I know we're nothing special. We're probably going to get 20 plays a week, and that's fine. And if you made it to this part of the show, congratulations, and thank you for watching and listening. No other podcast has talked about it yet. Not one. Trust me, I looked for the last 24 hours now. Nobody's talked about it. Not one podcast. And for them to have a mid-carder, a jobber, whatever term you want to use for Chad Gable and Otis, they're giving them a voice. They're giving them a platform. They're giving them the chance. A year ago, that would have never happened. Now it's happening. And I think what you're seeing is a shift in the direction of the company, a shift in pro wrestling is these guys are getting more of a chance to really showcase who they are, the person behind the wrestler.
I agree. I just wish it wasn't the same old recipe. As soon as you started talking about that you anticipated Chad Gable turning heel, this was what, Royal Rumble? Or Elimination Chamber? When did Chad Gable start really mentoring Sami Zayn?
Well, that wasn't until right before WrestleMania. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before Mania. But when they had, what really got it for me was when I saw Chad Gable and Gunther and Gunther and Sami Zayn. I was like, there's going to be a trifecta right there. That was kind of, again, breadcrumbs. I use that term a lot. Those were the breadcrumbs that they were kind of laying down. I was like, okay. And then Chad Gable coming up to Sami Zayn and going, you can't beat him. And then the next week they had a montage of Chad Gable training Sami Zayn before the big match in WrestleMania. I think I did call this back either. I think it was right after the Royal Rumble, because all those guys were kind of lining up for the
you
IC
were
title.
Calling it when he was competing for the IC title against Gunther.
Right.
I don't remember exactly when that was, whether it was before or after Royal Rumble, but it was around the time that he was competing for the IC title.
Yeah.
I just personally wish that they didn't follow the same recipe as before. It's like if you're in a stable or a tag team, okay, whether you're heel or babyface, you attack the stable or the tag team and you make that turn. Like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the Usos, the Shield, fucking the Rockers.
Well, that's the thing.
If they were going to have him turn heel, I kind of would have preferred him to be like, you know what, Deuce, I'm gonna go take care of my own business. Not do the whole thing that's been tried and tried again of him berating the members or this and that. We get it. It's a heel turn. Okay, cool. But instead of that focus on them, I think it would have been more impactful if he turned that focus and maybe continued on a rival, maybe be rating Sami Zayn or something.
Well, he did turn on Sami Zayn. I mean, last week they had that. And look, Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, two of the best right now. They're super hot. They had that that banger of a match at the in Houston, right at the end of the gauntlet match, where Sami Zayn had to beat all those guys, and then they had last week's match, which was, I thought, awesome. And I knew at the end of that, I was like, Chad Gable's either going to turn on him at the end of this match, or it's going to happen next week. I was waiting for it, and it happened last week, and it happened in Sami Zayn's hometown, which part of me didn't think they were going to do that, but they did, which is fine. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was great TV. And I was going somewhere with that. I totally just lost train of thought. But I think they did it the right way. I just think they did it a little soon. But I think there's a reason for that.
Little old me, as little as I know about the business, I'm just talking about a tiny fan perspective. Me personally, I kind of would have preferred. So Chad has already been starting to do the solo acts for quite some time now.
Right.
Okay. And with him, it was always that narrative of, it was almost like Daniel Bryan. I can do this, but I haven't been able to get over that hump. Same with Sami Zayn. I can do this, but so far I haven't. Whatever. Him losing to Sami Zayn, I would have loved to see that be like the turning point and have him turn heel, but not the expense of Alpha Academy. Be more like, you know what? I'm setting my sights to finally accomplish this. Damn everybody who gets in my way. Period. Friend or foe, my sight is this. That's what I'm gunning for. And
yeah,
instead of having him berate everybody, it would have been like, have him continue that angle. Be like, I got to prove this to myself that I can finally fucking do this. He would have been a perfect middleman heel. You know, have him go against other heels, have him go against baby faces. He would have worked perfectly either way. Like the Miz. You know, when Miz was a heel. You know, or Rollins, he was perfect. Like, kind of treading that water, be like, okay, well, I'm a heel, but people like me because I'm going after this other heel, you know, and vice versa. I think they could have done a lot more with Chad Gable's turn than what they did with Alpha Academy.
Well, and two things real quick. You've talked about the formula. Now, with wrestling, everything's been done a million times. We've seen it a million times. We can, you know, at our age, we kind of know what to look for a little bit because we've been watching this and talking about this and fans for so long, right? The formula works. And I think part of that is also creative control. Maybe Chad Gable is the one that came to them and said, hey, I want to do this. Because Alpha Academy was originally Chad Gable and Otis's baby. That was their idea. Chad Gable wrote 90% of it. Otis threw in a few ideas. So maybe this is Chad Gable's idea. We don't know, right? Maybe this was the writers. We don't know. But you talk about formulas, and I think that, was it the right call? Maybe, maybe not. I don't have that answer. I don't know. I see where you're coming from. But the other part of me thinks maybe you're right, because how badass would it have been to get Chad Gable to just turn on Otis and really force those two into becoming themselves? Get Otis away from Alpha Academy, get Chad Gable away from Alpha Academy. But maybe they're doing it this way because they don't feel like Otis is quite ready. He's not quite there yet. So they're trying to slowly do it. They're trying to slowly start churning that butter. Rome,
It
what?
would have made a little bit more sense if they had done it when Otis was on hiatus. It kind of would have made a little bit more sense to have the turn at that time.
Maybe.
You know, but I mean, he's pulling this narrative that Alpha Academy is the reason why he lost. It's not like they had their hands in anything like Judgment Day or Bloodline or, you know, anyone else. They weren't fucking around. So I understand having him do a heel turn, but like I said, not at the expense of belittling people who really had nothing to do with him losing. It almost made no sense.
Well, yeah.
I would have preferred just be like, you know what? I tried in a group and I failed. I've tried a little bit solo and I failed. Fuck everybody. This is my focus. And then just disband like that. Be like, peace. Do what you want to do. My focus is Sami Zayn in that title. And then period. Not necessarily make him a full heel or keep him as a full babyface, but just give the dude a freaking goal. And then just see what comes up of it.
Maybe.
But that's my 2 cents. I know nothing about the industry.
I don't either. Oh, shit.
I know drinking.
Right. So, well, as far as drinking goes, long time coming. Again, I had 2 of them. The unofficial beer of this podcast, and I hope one day that changes.
You need to talk to them, bro.
I know. I got to figure out how to break the ice with them. I haven't quite figured it out yet. So, I think part of my problem is, and this is really me talking here. This is not Whiskey Pro. This is legit me. I've built this crazy character that you see on this podcast of, you know, I'm supposed to be this loud, obnoxious, crazy guy that everybody loves or hates or both. But when I have to actually introduce myself to somebody as a person, I don't really know how to go with that anymore. So I'll give you a small taste of it. I was at Denton County one night. I was picking up some long time coming. I drove all the way out there just to get some long time coming.
It's good shit.
And there was a gentleman, I don't remember his name, but he was part of a small brewery here in the DFW area. Him and his buddies, they just do it out of their garage, and they actually know the guys at Strikeout Beer. And he approached me, and he actually asked me this. He was like, "Are you the Whiskey Pro?" Like, he said those words, "Are you the Whiskey Pro?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You know, and I was just there getting beer, like, you know, and it was a fun little conversation that lasted all of 2 minutes, I think. But I guess he was expecting more from me, and I was just like, dude, I'm just here to pick up beer and go home. And it's just kind of weird how, you know, I'm the Whiskey Pro to people. If you see me in public and you want to talk and you want to grab a beer or something, I'm down. But I'm not, you know, I'm not in character 24/7. But it was kind of cool that somebody actually recognized who I was, and they called me the Whiskey Pro. I thought that was kind of cool. But no, I'm Seth, I believe is his name, right?
Yep.
And the other guy is Andrew. Okay. There's been a couple of moments where they've actually come up and they briefly, "Hey man, how you liking things? Thanks for coming." You know, I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." And I didn't really know where to go with that for the conversation, so I just kind of okay. Well, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye. So one of these days, I'll grow a set of balls and I'll talk to them. But until then, I'm just gonna keep drinking the beer and hope they keep it around for a while because I really enjoy this beer and it's really the only beer I drink anymore. So, but man, it's getting late. I'm tired. I'm gonna go try to watch Supernatural or some stupid shit. I don't know.
Oh, have fun with that.
I just started Supernatural again. I'm on season 5, episode 2.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me and the missus need to find something else to watch now that Resident Alien is all done.
Is it? It's not done.
No, but we finished season 3.
What'd you think?
We binge watched it.
Oh,
So the finale, I saw that twist before it was even revealed.
uh-huh.
And Jen was like, I don't know. Da, 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 da. Maybe it's this or maybe it's that. I'm like, no. Watch the mannerisms. Watch the speaking. Watch everything. Just observe. And sure enough, like at the very, very end, she's like, oh shit, you're right.
Well, season 3 was I wasn't a huge fan of season 3, but apparently they're coming back in like 2 weeks, I think. So we'll see.
Really?
Chucky started back up, so we've been watching the Chucky series, but I'm already over it.
They just barely greenlit season 4. They're not coming back. Not till next year.
But we'll see. I just know that Yellowstone's off the air. Thank God for that. Stupid show.
Yellowstone. That's the cowboy one, right?
Yeah, stupid. Don't watch it. Anyways, I'm getting out of here. Bruce is getting out of here. Bruce
Hell yeah.
Bruce has got to go to bed.
Yeah. I'm kind of, yeah.
It's past his bedtime. It's that Bud Light. That Bud Light's making his gender fluids change.
I called in today. I just, with what was going on with my eye, I'm like, fuck it. I can't fucking see.
Right.
You know, it's when you type 90% of your day and you've got 3 monitors that have nothing but work, you kind of have to see partially, right?
Right. What's going on?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Monday Night Raw just ended again. So, Becky Lynch is celebrating with the crowds and giving hugs to kids. Yay. But guys, until next time.
Not nugs.
That's right. Nugs, not drugs, or jugs, not drugs. I don't know. We'll find a tagline one of these days. I don't know what it is. As always, I'm Whiskey.
I'm Bruce.
Cover your ears, kids.